You are 26 years old. It is March, a Tuesday, and the finance guy at the dealership is sliding a piece of paper across a desk that smells like new carpet and chemical shine. $419 a month. Zero down, if you want it that way. His name is Ray, and he calls this getting into something nice without the commitment. What he doesn't say is the true price of that non-commitment. He doesn't say it because he isn't paid to. Your neighbor leases a brand new truck that exact same week. He tells you 3 separate times in the driveway that leasing is smarter, because you're never stuck with a depreciating asset. He says this while standing next to an asset he doesn't own, that depreciates anyway, just on someone else's balance sheet instead of his own. Your hand is resting on the pen, the metal feels heavy and cool in your fingers, and then you think about the silver Honda Civic sitting in your mother's garage. The one she drove for 9 years and handed to you with 90,000 miles already on the odometer, saying only, "It still runs, that's the whole point of a car." You put the pen down. The lease nobody questions is the lease everybody is making. Here is the math Ray never walks you through while he's clicking his pen across the desk. $419 a month for 36 months is over $15,000, and at the end of those 3 years, you own absolutely nothing. Not a fender, not a mirror, not a single tire. You hand back the keys, step into the showroom, and start the entire cycle all over again. Instead, you take $1,100 out of your savings. You put $600 into the Civic's timing belt and water pump, $500 more into a fresh set of tires, and you commit to driving it for the next 6 years. Total extra maintenance cost across those 6 years comes out to about $1,900, call it $26 a month. The difference between $419 a month and $26 a month is $393, every single month. For 72 consecutive months. You don't let that money sit in a checking account where it can bleed out on weekend dinners or casual online orders. You do something almost embarrassingly simple. You log into your bank portal and set up an automated transfer into a low-cost index fund. It triggers the exact same day your paycheck lands, so the money disappears into the market before your mind even registers that you had it. At an average 8% annual return, $393 a month for 6 years becomes $37,214. You didn't achieve that because you were a financial genius. You didn't beat the market or trade daily options. You built it because you were comfortable being seen in a car that nobody looked twice at. Time keeps moving. 5 years pass. It is 2031. You are 31 years old, and you decide it's time to buy a home. You buy a townhouse. It's small, 1,150 square feet, with laminate kitchen counters that you have absolutely no plans to replace. The purchase price is $238,000. You put down enough from your quiet savings that your fixed mortgage rate lands at 6.1%. Your college roommate buys a house the exact same spring. Hers is impressive, 2,400 square feet, a deep soaking tub, and a 3-car garage to house 2 vehicles. $612,000, with 5% down, because her loan officer assured her that 5% was still completely responsible in today's housing market. Her monthly mortgage payment, once you factor in property taxes, private mortgage insurance, and HOA fees, comes out to $3,940 every month. Yours is $1,510. Nobody standing in the granite-lined kitchen during her housewarming party mentions the number that actually matters. The difference between her monthly payment and your monthly payment is $2,430 every single month. If that difference is invested instead of spent, at that same average 8% market return over 25 years, it grows into $687,000. Nobody was lying to her at the closing table. They were just not paid to tell her what that extra square footage was costing her future self. A bigger house is not a bigger life. Sometimes it is just a bigger monthly payment wearing a better kitchen. There is a single maple tree standing in the side yard of your townhouse. It was already there when you closed on the place, scraggly, maybe 15 feet tall, precisely the kind of tree a house-flipping landscaper would tell you to cut down to improve curb appeal. You don't cut it down. You fill a plastic bucket and water it twice a week through the dry heat of that first summer, and after that, you mostly forget about it. Over the years, it becomes the thing you notice without ever meaning to. You see it out the kitchen window while you wait for the coffee maker to drip. It sits quietly in the background of casual photos that were never meant to be photos of a tree. It is, without you ever making a deliberate decision about it, the only thing on the entire property that is visibly, undeniably growing every single day. So is your investment balance. The only difference is that nobody can see either one from the street. 3 more years pass. It is 2034, you are 34 years old. Your roommate's large house has appreciated on paper to $740,000. She posts a screenshot of the automated valuation in a group text chat, captioned, "Can't believe how well the market has treated us." It's the same group chat that includes your old neighbor who still leases his trucks, and a friend from graduate school named Colton, who works as an underwriter in insurance and asks pointed, analytical questions for a living. Later that evening, Colton texts you privately. "No judgment at all," he writes, "just checking in. Are you doing okay? Still in the townhouse? Still driving that old Honda? Just wanted to make sure you're not feeling stuck financially." You read the message and you pause. You don't correct him. You could easily type out that your personal net worth crossed $310,000 that past January. You could explain that it happened almost entirely because her $3,940 payment became your $1,510 payment, with the $2,400 difference automatically flowing into index funds month after month for 9 straight years. You could tell him that the Civic, now 14 years old with a slightly faded clear coat, has cost you less in total repairs and upkeep than one single year of her homeowner's insurance premiums and neighborhood HOA dues combined. You don't text any of that back. You don't need to win the conversation to win the decade. You just type, "Yeah, doing really good. How about you?" This is the exact point in the journey where you realize that looking fine and being fine are two completely different realities, and that most people around you are trained to only recognize the first one. This is also where the choice stops being clean and simple, because real life doesn't stay confined to an Excel spreadsheet. Your neighbor's truck lease turns into a heavy truck loan, which eventually gets rolled over into an even bigger diesel truck loan. Your college roommate refinances her home mortgage twice, once to pull out equity to pay for a $58,000 kitchen remodel, financed at 7.4%, to tear out quartz counters that were already perfectly fine. None of their choices are stupid in isolation. They are simply optimized for a world where the house, the car, and the zip code do the speaking for you, while the actual bank balance is nobody else's business. You optimized your life for the exact opposite outcome, and somewhere along that path, an unwritten cost appears, a cost that no financial calculator or retirement planner ever tracks. Your sister stops inviting you to split the cost of beach house rentals the way she used to. She tells you once, half joking over a family dinner, "You always seem so weird and stressed about spending money, and I don't want to feel like I'm forcing you into something you can't afford." She isn't wrong that you are careful, but she is completely wrong about why. You don't correct her either, because correcting her means revealing numbers she never asked to hear. And you discover that there is a strange, unexpected shame in being the quiet one in the family with the higher bank balance, a specific kind of social friction nobody prepares you for, because on paper, building wealth isn't supposed to feel isolating. Frugality, to the outside world, rarely looks like long-term discipline. To the people closest to you, it almost always looks like a warning sign they should avoid. You find yourself turning down group trips that you could easily pay for in cold hard cash, not because you lack the funds, but because maintaining the persona of the person who prefers a smaller life becomes exhausting to defend over long dinners. Building wealth in silence requires you to be misunderstood on purpose, for years at a time, by people you genuinely love. That is the hidden tax of financial independence. That is the clause nobody prints at the bottom of the compound interest graph. So let's bring it back to the cold hard numbers. Let's lay out the final balance sheet, because this is the math that makes the social friction worth every quiet sacrifice. First, the car decision at age 26. $393 a month saved and invested over 6 years grew to over $37,000. Left completely untouched to compound for another 8 years without adding another dime, that single decision alone grew to over $80,000. Second, the housing decision at age 31. Keeping your housing cost at $1,510 instead of pushing up to $3,940 gave you $2,420 every month in surplus cash flow. Invested month after month into core market index funds, that steady stream generated over $450,000 in accumulated market wealth by the time you turned 39. Third, the lifestyle margin. As your career progressed, you received 2 modest promotions and standard cost of living adjustments. Instead of upgrading to a luxury SUV, buying high-end furniture, or moving to a gated subdivision, you directed 80% of every pay raise straight into the brokerage account. None of it was dramatic. None of it made for a viral social media post. Every single piece of it was fully automated. Now it is 2039. You are 39 years old. Exactly 14 years have passed since you stood in that dealership driveway holding a pen. Your investment portfolio crosses $1.1 million. Your college roommate's house, after factoring in transaction fees, interest costs, 2 equity cash-out refinances, and 14 years of a $3,900 monthly obligation that never once turned into a liquid asset she could use without selling the roof over her head, sits with roughly $61,000 in actual accessible equity. You are not fundamentally smarter than she is. You were not luckier than your neighbor in the truck. You simply made one radically different decision in a car dealership driveway in the spring of 2025. And then you quietly made that same decision again, roughly 4,000 times. Every single time a paycheck hit your account and your automated system moved $1,500, or $300, or $20 into investments before you ever had the chance to touch it. Compounding interest does not care about dramatic gestures. It does not reward the high earner who spends every dollar to maintain an image. It rewards the quiet momentum of the choice nobody was watching you make. A few months later, you happen to run into Ray at a local gas station, 17 years after the afternoon he pushed that lease agreement across his desk. He doesn't remember your face, and why would he? He has processed thousands of vehicle leases and financing contracts since that Tuesday in March. But you immediately recognize the way he clicks his pen while waiting in line at the register. While making polite small talk by the pumps, he casually mentions that he still leases a new sedan every 3 years. It just keeps life simple, he says with a smile, leaning against the doorframe. You don't break down the math for him. You don't explain what that definition of simple actually cost him over a 30-year career in auto sales. You simply smile, tell him it was great catching up, and walk back over to your car. It's a different Civic now, your third one, bought entirely in cash 4 years ago when the previous one finally reached 240,000 miles. You drive back to your quiet neighborhood and pull into the driveway of the townhouse. The maple tree in the side yard stands over 30 feet tall now. Its leaves cast a deep, cool shade over the entire side structure. Your teenage niece calls it the retirement tree whenever she visits, half joking because you mentioned to her once, as a casual throwaway remark that turned out to be entirely accurate, that you intended to let that tree grow for as long as your index funds did. You never chose a smaller life. You simply chose a life whose true scale didn't need to be displayed on the driveway for everyone else to validate. Right now, somewhere nearby, someone is standing in a dealership showroom or sitting in a loan officer's office with a pen resting in their hand. They are about to sign a contract that will make them look like they've finally arrived, at the exact moment they could choose to quietly, invisibly, build real freedom instead. Compounding never rewards the decision you make for an audience. It rewards the decision nobody was watching you make. And the best part of all is that it never once asks you to explain yourself to the group chat. So ask yourself, what would it actually cost you? Not in dollars and cents, but in how the world sees you, to stop trying to look rich and start choosing to be wealthy.